Broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, this is Bruce Lipton. I'm on Extreme Health Radio with Justin and Kay, and I just want to say that I so appreciate this opportunity because we have a wonderful show ahead of us.
With all the advances in medical technology today, the key to longevity may be as simple as vitamin C. Discover the power of lipospheric vitamin C at extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C. Well, here we are once again, Kate. We got ready to go on vacation, but we had one final interview that we wanted to take care of before we went, and today we're so excited, aren't we?
I am thrilled to have Jessica Ortner on today.
I know, it's going to be so much fun.
Yay.
So we're going to be talking about something that you may or may not have heard about called tapping, or it's sometimes also known as the Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT, so we'll be talking with her about that. We'll introduce her in just a moment. She's fresh from South America during the World Cup, so this is going to be fun to talk about this stuff. So we're with Jessica Ortner, and today this is episode, let me get this correct, 284. I hope that's correct.
Yes, you are. You're right.
Sure that's correct.
You got it.
Episode 284. Normally we broadcast live 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you guys would like to join the live show and join the chat room and get involved with the community there, you can always do that. It's always a lot of fun. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific for the live shows. And if you guys would like to support our show, you can do that by making your purchases on Amazon through our link. That really does help us a lot. So it's really, really beneficial for us, and it just keeps the show free for everybody. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, you can do that. And that's just, it'll redirect you to Amazon, and you'll be good to go. You can buy whatever you like.
You're off and running.
Whatever Jeff Bezos has to sell you.
Right.
You can buy anything on Amazon these days. What can't you get?
I don't think there's much you can't get.
Have you heard about those drones? Aren't they going to do those Amazon
if those ever take off, that'll be a miracle.
Oh, my goodness. But today we have Jessica Ortner, and her website, she's got a few of them. Her first one is Jessica-Ortner, O-R-T-N-E-R, Jessica-Ortner.com, as well as the tappingsolution.com. And we just watched The Tapping Solution recently, Kate, didn't we?
Such a great film.
Yeah, we watched
Such a great film.
On the Hay House World Summit. It was offered for free.
Yep.
What a great film. Mm-hmm. And I think she helped produce that, and she's a stress reduction and weight loss coach, and she has just written a book called The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. So it's just an honor to have you on today. Thanks so much, Jessica, for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so you are, we talked a little bit before this show, but you were
fresh off the plane.
Fresh off the plane, weren't you?
Fresh off the plane, yes. I decided very last minute to go to Brazil. I was born in Argentina, and when I found out that Argentina got into the semifinals, I went with my cousin. We decided on Monday and got a visa and left Monday night to Brazil.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Watched the semifinal there, then flew to Argentina, and I watched the final with all of my family. We didn't win, which is kind of disappointing, but we had a really, really fun time.
That is so cool. So you just up and left one day after you decided. That's so cool.
I did. I just spent the last year writing this book, and I just found out that it hit the New York Times bestseller list, and things were just going so well that I was ready to take a break after a year of writing and launching it and everything. So this was kind of my celebration for hitting the list.
Oh,
so
congratulations. Cool. You deserve it.
So you and Nick are from Argentina originally.
Yeah, we were born there, and we immigrated to the United States when Nick was 8 and I was just a baby. I was like 9 months old. So I'm I'm very much American, but I'm very much like my mother, who's very Argentine. So it's always very easy to be back there, and I go there at least once a year.
Oh, that's
wow.
so great. Yeah, I've been down to Brazil in a few different spots in Brazil and just had the best time. Such a great place.
It's, it's a great, I love South America. I think it's exciting to see that more Americans are traveling there now. Like when I was a kid, most people didn't know where Argentina was, and they thought that we ate spicy Mexican food. But now people know that there's great tango and great red wine and beef, and a lot of people are taking adventures down there. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, it's so great. We went to Natal up in northern Brazil, as well as Sao Paulo and Rio and a couple other spots. I think Florianopolis too.
Beautiful.
And just a lot of fun. So great. I loved it down there.
Yeah, a much deserved break for you. Your book is gaining quite the popularity.
It's so great. New York Times
Holy
bestseller.
cow.
Number 4. I couldn't believe it.
That's so great. And you spent the past year writing that?
Yeah, I really in a year. I signed the book deal. I wrote the book, edited it, and launched it all within a year, which was really crazy. It took me about 5 months to write, but the book really took 8 years to write, because it was 8 years of studying and information, and I've been using this modality tapping for 10 years. So it's been quite a journey, and I was really excited to have this opportunity. The book is called The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence, and I never thought I would ever talk about weight loss. And I was very hesitant to write the book because I didn't want to be part of the weight loss industry, which I feel like is often an industry that thrives on making us not feel good about ourselves. And so, it was definitely this real personal journey and struggle to kind of write this book and come from a place of I want to talk about weight loss and body confidence, but in a way that nobody else has talked about it before, because I think we're really ready for a change.
Yeah, the entire weight loss industry, it's so it's just I don't even know what a good word to describe it is, but I can see completely what you're saying there. Yeah,
I think a lot of times it thrives on other people's pain and also the illusion of this kind of quick fix. And my life changed when I stopped looking at health and weight loss as a goal, but looked at it as a present day journey. It's not about a place that we reach, because we are in our bodies until the day that we die. So we can't look at it as this, I can't be happy with my body until I get to this certain place, and we're always waiting for that time. It's about having a real present moment experience where we're like, how can I feel good right now and make choices for myself that feel good right now? And when we do that enough, we get the results that we've always wanted.
Yeah, I have to say the book is set up so beautifully. I've read, I haven't finished it yet, but in the very beginning, I mean, gosh, you what you just said, you wrap into this beautiful way of writing, just explaining to people that this isn't the typical book on weight loss and quick fix, and that, there, like you just said, there's so much beauty in the everyday choices we make, and it's one little baby step at a time. But I love it's just set up so beautiful to encourage people in the beginning,
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's so much emphasis in the current weight loss industry, isn't there, on the body? And I mean, the body, you definitely want to ground into the body and understand, feel your body and things like that. But I feel like there's just this obsession for guys to be, ripped, and girls to have this perfect waist, and it's just this weird, strange obsession, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's escalating right now with social media and with selfies, and people always just kind of trying to prove their worth on social media. So all of a sudden, I think we all feel like mini celebrities, where we feel like we have to create this image, and when we feel like our image isn't good enough, then we are incredibly harsh on ourselves. And I struggled with my weight for a long time, and I thought that I could hate myself skinny. That was my approach. If I just got angry at myself enough, and if I just criticized myself enough and hated my body enough, then maybe I'll have that fuel to make a change. And then one day when I make that change, I will feel worthy and good enough and confident. And I realized I had it backwards. Weight loss doesn't lead to confidence. It's really confidence in yourself and in your own self-worth that leads to a body that you really love and that you're proud of, and a body that you respect and honor, even when it's behaving in a way that you don't want it to behave. The same way when we have children and they we're trying to teach them something or lead them in a certain direction, by criticizing them all the time and pointing out their flaws, there's no room for them to really thrive and grow. So it's really through that nourishment of mind and body that creates the body and the life that we want.
So you were saying when you got into tapping, which was over a decade ago, was that correct?
Yes.
Did you feel like when you first started understanding how tapping worked, it's obviously anything's a journey, but did you kind of appreciate the weight loss journey right at the beginning with tapping, or was that something that hit you like 7 or 8 years into it to realize how much that could work on that side of it?
Yeah, it definitely hit me years after. So, if someone's listening to this and they have no idea what I'm talking about when I say tapping, it's not tap dancing. It's this really great stress relief technique where you tap on acupressure points to relieve stress. And when we begin to relieve stress, it's incredible the way the body responds. Stress impacts our metabolism. It impacts our immune system, our endocrine system. It impacts our digestion. It impacts chronic pain. So when I first learned tapping, I was very interested in the way that it impacted pain in the body and how we feel emotionally. And I saw the results and it was incredible. But I wasn't using it on my struggle with my weight because, there are billions of dollars literally used to brainwash us to believe that it's just about food and exercise. And that's just the culture I grew up in. So, I knew there was this great stress relief technique, but I didn't think that was the answer. For me, I felt like what I needed to do was continue panicking about my weight because I would, the pattern I would run is I would, gain a bunch of weight. I'd look in the mirror. I'd criticize myself. I'd panic. I'd feel this pressure. And maybe I had an event coming up, like a wedding that I had to go to or needed to speak in public or something. And that pressure would lead me to a diet. And for a short time, I would lose maybe, a little bit of weight, but always feeling like, the wolves were at my door. Like at any moment I could gain the weight back. And it was really this struggle. And I felt like weight loss had to be a painful experience. I felt like weight loss was about denying ourselves pleasure. But it got to the point where I could only deny myself pleasure for a certain amount of time because pleasure is something that we need in our life. I'd get exhausted and say, I quit. And I'd go right back to emotionally eating. And, and in that moment when I was emotionally eating and eating foods that weren't good for me, it felt liberating in that moment because I thought I'm cutting myself some slack. And I talk about in my book that habits like self-sabotage, like overeating and not exercising, and eating, those sugary carbohydrates, all those self-sabotaging behaviors, it's all misguided self-love. We really do those things because we're seeking out pleasure. We don't have pleasure in other aspects of our lives. And we've created such a painful experience, a painful relationship around food. And so it wasn't until years later that I had this wake-up call of this pattern of just dieting and gaining weight and losing weight isn't working. I have to try something drastically different. And, and I realized I had my wake-up call when I had gone to a health seminar and I was registering and I was recognized. It was one of the first times that I'd been recognized for the work I'd done with the film and these online summits that I do. Woman was like, "Oh, Jessica Ortner, I'm such a big fan. Like your interviews are so great." And I was over the moon. I was flying high when she recognized me. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then, just a second later, she looks me up and down and she goes, "You're a lot bigger than I thought."
Oh my goodness.
I read that in your book. My heart sank.
Wow.
And I'm 5'2", so I know that she wasn't talking about my height. And at that point, it was a very inappropriate comment. At that point, I didn't know how to handle something like that. And I just kind of smiled, a fake smile, turned and walked away in shock. And, it was this hidden blessing, because there's something about her complimenting me on my work and then pointing out my biggest pain in my life that gave me this wake-up call. And I said, I'm using this tapping, this stress relief technique for everything in my life except the one thing that's causing me the most pain.
Isn't that wild that we have so many tools to use that are, especially in the natural health and alternative health industry, we have so many different little gadgets and tools and lasers and, tapping and things like this. And we forget to use them, don't we? We forget they're right there waiting for us. It's crazy.
We do. And I think it's because at some point, when we're dealing with something we're really struggling with, it's hard for us to look at it. It can be very scary. And so, that's why I started reaching out for help. I had access to all of the top practitioners in this technique. I knew so much. And so I was able to kind of go on my own journey, but I never wanted, like I said, I never wanted to write a book about weight loss. I never thought this would be, my calling. But the reason I did was because when we're not doing something that we know and when we're struggling, I think it's because it's hard to do it on our own, and it can help to have someone hold our hand and kind of guide us, because when we're in that pain, it's really hard to find a way out. It's so easy. I mean, we've all been in the position where we see a friend struggling and we know exactly what our friend should do. But when it comes to our own lives, it's hard to have that perspective. So, I wrote this book so that it could help people. It can hold your hand as you go through the process, and also be a mirror to your own life, so you can begin to get some clarity as to why you might be stuck when it comes to your weight and your body confidence.
Yeah, and tapping, we'll get into that maybe after the break. We're going to take a break in a few minutes from now, about 3 minutes, but we'll get into explaining exactly what tapping is. But it's called Emotional Freedom Technique, and it makes me think of the stress, and the cortisol levels. And as a stress reduction technique, I presume it would help also to reduce cortisol levels, which isn't there a connection between high cortisol levels and the stress and holding on to weight?
Absolutely. Yes. It's been directly linked to belly fat. So yes, that's the big thing, is we look so much at food and exercise, but we're not looking at stress. And when we are under a lot of stress, we create a really toxic hormonal cocktail, which makes it difficult to lose weight. So here we are eating right and trying to do things right, but we're so stressed that our body is holding on to that weight. So, tapping works for weight loss for two main reasons. One, which is what you said, is it decreases your cortisol levels. And this has been researched. So this isn't just an assumption. We're not just saying, tapping helps stress. There has been research around tapping and cortisol levels and how effective it is. It's a research done by Dr. Dawson Church. And the second reason that it works so well with weight loss is that every action we take when it comes to anything from food to exercising, it is backed by an emotion. So often we know exactly the way that we should eat or how we should move, and we're just not doing it. And the reason we're not doing it is because of emotions. And it could be this emotion of every time I feel like I'm trying to take care of myself, I feel like I'm depriving myself. And so, being healthy feels like deprivation and it seems painful. There's all those emotions around that. Or with moving your body, I can't tell you how many women I've worked with who are in, say, their 40s and 50s, and they had experiences happen to them when they were in middle school in gym class. And those experiences were the first experiences that taught them that I'm not good at working out, or when I move my body, I feel less than, or when I move my body, I feel a lot of shame. And if we don't deal with those emotions, then we're never going to get to a place where we stick with moving our body, because if it's not pleasurable, it's not sustainable. And if we don't clear those emotions, it'll never be a pleasurable experience.
Yeah, I love the angle you're taking on this, because I think it's just so important, because so much, like you said and we talked about earlier, it's so focused. The whole industry is just so focused on calories in, calories out, and this really mundane, tired, I guess, old paradigm that's been run through for so long with just different wordings to it. And I think that, like what you're saying is so true. Everything begins, every action that you take in your life begins with some kind of an emotion.
Absolutely. Every time. Yeah.
I love it. And we're going to take a little break now, but we are going to explain a little bit about what tapping is and just explain what it is and how people can do it. And I think with tapping, it's interesting because people look at it and it looks strange. You know, it does look weird, but tapping on the body changes the body. And so, I mean, in the same way that if you were to get a massage, you know, that same thing, you know, you could probably test levels before, during, and after a massage, and it's no different than touching your body in certain
but we're
ways.
just not used to it because we didn't grow up around it, most of us, you know.
Yeah. So this is really interesting stuff. All right, we're with Jessica Ortner. Her website, jessica-ortner.com, as well as thetappingsolution.com, and you can check her out on both those places. She has links to her Facebook account, and you can follow her on there and sign up to her newsletter. This is episode 284. Yes, 284. And we didn't even say what date it is. What is it?
It is July 18th, 2014.
July 18th, 2014. We're way off today. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back with Jessica Ortner right after this break. Are you living in the 21st century taking 19th century supplements? Vitamin C pills and powders are often destroyed in the digestive system and passed as waste, never reaching your depleted cells. Lipospheric vitamin C uses a patented encapsulation technology to deliver more without the stomach distress caused by pills and powders. Within minutes, liposomes filled with vitamin C are transported directly into your cells without binders, fillers, sugar, or GMOs. With all the modern advances of medicine and technology, are you throwing away money every morning on inefficient supplements? For under $1 a day, you could experience the power of lipospheric vitamin C. For a real eye-opener, visit extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C. I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals, that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and fly the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that the same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q Laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Well, Kate, with this big new desk here, I can barely even reach the soundboard over here. It's like I need some sort of arm extension, I think.
You have the world's most giant desk in this studio. It's great.
This is hilarious. So we're with Jessica Ortner, having a great time here talking about EFT and tapping and her experiences with that. If you guys have any questions about the laser or the Live On Labs, the lipospheric vitamin C, gosh, we just love that stuff. So good. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. So we are just big fans of those 2 items. If you have any questions, we can always help you out. And this is episode 284, and we're with Jessica Ortner. And I think before the break, Jessica, I wanted to talk with you about what tapping actually is and how people can use it. But I'm curious, before we get into that, we were talking during the break, and Kate said we should ask her about how she first got involved with tapping and how you discovered it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I discovered tapping when I was sick in bed. I had the flu, and I just wasn't getting better. It was just one of those things where it was like days and days, and I was just sick in bed. And my brother Nick came over, and he said, hey, I just learned this really great stress relief technique online, which, first off, I was like, okay, what are you learning online, and why do I have to try it? And he said, no, give it a try. And so I was incredibly skeptical. And incredibly sick. And I started to use my fingers and just tap on these acupressure points as I focused on the congestion I felt in my nose, my sinuses, my head, my chest. I was just focusing on how I felt in my body. And after a few rounds of tapping, I felt calmer. And suddenly I looked at him and I said, I don't want to get better. And I was even shocked at myself for saying that out loud. And he said, why not? And I said, I feel like I've been working so hard and nothing is working. And in that point in my life, I was working on a business, and I was just trying to get things going and doing everything I felt like I could do, but nothing was going my way. And I was exhausted of it all. And I never consciously decided to get sick. I wasn't faking it. I mean, if you saw me, I had, I really could not breathe through my nose, and I was sick. But I realized that at some level, emotionally, I had manifested this cold in order to give myself a break. And so we began to tap while focusing on the stress I felt around work, and how distraught I felt, and how encouraged I felt, and also how angry I felt that I was doing everything and nothing was working. And as I began to tap while giving a voice to how I really felt, I felt my whole body relax. I just felt this real shift inside of my core. And after a few rounds of tapping, my brother Nick goes, all right, take a deep breath in and see how you feel. And I took a deep breath in, and he looked at me with, these big wide eyes. And I said, what? And he goes, you're breathing through your nose. And all my sinuses had cleared up. My whole head had cleared up, and I could breathe. Then I went to bed the next day. I woke up and I felt fine. My cold had gone away. And, we hear a lot that emotions impact our body. And I think even the most, conventional doctor will say that stress impacts the body. But I think that we are continuously underestimating just how much the body, our emotions and stress impacts our body. And to me, that was kind of this wake-up call. And we started using it, both my brother and I, in our personal lives with friends, just for fun. And we realized that there was this world. I mean, people were using this all over the world, in England and in Germany and in Australia. But nobody had made a film about it, because it's one of those things which was so widely documented, but still, if you told someone about tapping, it was really hard to believe. It seems weird. It seems a bit far-fetched. So we thought, if we make a documentary film and we take real people that are going through challenges, we can make a film that's entertaining, where you see the transformations, but also one that's very educational, and people can learn how to do this themselves and see that it really works. And so we ended up putting money on credit cards. I moved back in with my parents and worked from the basement. Oh, wow. And we ended up making this documentary film that, is now translated and over, I don't even know how many languages at this point, but, it's been amazing. And we do these online summits, which, this past year we had 500,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
So it's really just, it's grown. But yeah, that's my beginning story, was being sick, and that's how it led me to the film.
That's amazing. How many years ago was that?
We started filming in 2007.
2007. So you've probably been doing it since 2006 or something like that?
Yeah, actually 2004 it took me a while. Like, it was a while before we decided to make the film. We were just using it in our lives.
Wow. And so, wow. We just watched, I'd heard about the film for years. And then finally with this Hay House Summit that just came out, we saw it. And what an incredible film. It's so inspiring and just a great piece of work.
Thank you so much. I think it's one of the things that I'm the most proud of in my life, because we had no film experience. We put everything on credit cards. Wow. Nobody knew who we were. And I feel like if it wasn't for tapping itself, tapping on kind of the anxiety that comes with starting a project with such high risk, if it wasn't for tapping, I don't think we would have finished it. So I'm still in awe. And if you told me I had to make another documentary film, I don't think I could.
Too stressful, huh?
I mean, it was just a miracle the way, I'm not a filmmaker, but we made a film that's amazing. Wow. And I think it was because we were so passionate about the topic.
So let's talk a little bit about what the tapping is for people that don't know or who have never heard about it.
Sure. So tapping, like you said, it's also called Meridian tapping, or EFT, and it's when you tap on these acupressure points that are on your face and your body. And so, when we are having, Justin, when you're stressed out about something, it's not an anxiety, the anxiety that you feel over something, it's not just a sensation in your brain. The thought is in your head, but the sensation that you feel is really in your body. I mean, for some people, it's tightness in their chest, or a tightness in their stomach, or a pain in their head. And so when we're having an anxiety, we have this full body experience that comes with the anxiety. And then we start learning about thinking more positively, or we know that we want to think differently. We know that we have this stress and we're trying to find a way to navigate through it. So maybe we start trying to think more positively, or we're kind of pushing ourselves to make a change. And in our head, we're kind of trying to talk our way out of this problem, but we feel like we're almost lying to ourselves, because we say that positive thought, but we still have that tension in our stomach.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Yeah, that's saying, oh no, I know that you're saying all is well and you'll figure it out, but your whole body is in panic.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what you do with the tapping is you get very clear on the thought that's creating the physical sensation. So you get very specific. And that's how, I write an entire book about this, because the key is to get that clarity as to what is that thought that's creating that anxiety. And then when you get clear on that thought, you begin to focus on that thought while you stimulate these acupressure points. And what that does is, as you think that thought and you stimulate the acupressure points, you begin to send a calming signal, a relaxing signal from your body to your brain. So you get to the point where you can have that same thought, but now you don't have the physical anxiety anymore, because your body has learned to feel relaxed within that thought. And when we have, a fear over a deadline, but all of a sudden our body is relaxed, that's when we can be creative and resourceful and, use those positive affirmations and all the amazing tools that we know.
And so is that when you can actually believe the positive affirmations? Because a lot of times, like you just said,
you're going through the motions.
Yeah, we don't believe it because it's just we're telling ourselves that, right?
Exactly. We can't look at a garden that's full of weeds and just repeat, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds.
Right.
We have to go in there and get clear on what we want to take out, so that what we truly want to have there, so those flowers have that space to blossom. And so if you are so panicked, or you have a lot of fear or a lot of anxiety, and you try to say an affirmation like, all is well, or everything I have is within me now, you say those things and your body is going, I don't believe that. And so it's about making room for those positive thoughts, so that they can really flourish.
So the Meridian points, are they Meridian points? Is that correct?
Yes, they're Meridian points.
They're Meridian points, and they're all connected, sort of like acupuncture. Is that correct?
Yes. And so, when we first began when we made the documentary film, for example, at that time, back in 2007, the way that people were explaining the effectiveness of tapping was through looking at at acupuncture, and it's really a form of, it's the same principles of acupuncture, but without using the needles. We're using those meridian points. And the theory is that when we have a stress or an anxiety, there is a block in our energy system, in our meridians. And now, acupuncture, it's covered by insurance companies, like people are embracing it a lot more. But the reality is that even though there's a lot of evidence that's beginning to build now that there is an energetic system, and I definitely believe there's an energetic system, and so has, Chinese culture for the last, few thousands of years. In our society right now, it's still a little bit woo-woo for people. Mm-hmm. And I do think that's changing, but what we can begin to study is the brain. And there has been studies that show that acupuncture needles, a lot of studies in Harvard done showing the impact of acupuncture needles on the brain. And also with the research that's being done around tapping and cortisol level, we begin to see how cortisol levels begin to drop in the body when you tap. And so, there's two explanations around why tapping works, and I believe that they're both accurate. One is that you have this energetic system, and stimulating these points, you are, tapping, excuse the pun, into that system and clearing your energy. And also, when it comes to your brain, you're beginning to break that association between the thought and panic in your body.
And so when you're actually physically tapping on the body in these specific certain parts of the body, you're actually physically sending an electrical signal, aren't you, down the meridian lines?
Yes, exactly. And what's really interesting is that we all, or most of us, intuitively do this. So the points are, one of the points is where your eyebrow begins. So kind of right at the top of your nose, and another one on the side of your eye. And when people are stressed, you often see them put their fingers towards their temple, or grab the bridge of their nose, or put their hand over their chest, which is another meridian point. So intuitively, we know that these are points that help comfort us.
Do you think this might be a silly question, but if someone were like on a desert island and had never, been around the world that we are, do you think they'd naturally figure these things out as ways to relieve themselves? Do you think throughout the ages people have known about this? It's just we need to remember and kind of reconnect to our roots?
I absolutely think so, because I see children doing it. I see children sometimes tapping on their chest. To calm their anxiety, and and I see people intuitively holding these points. So I feel like yes, I feel like we naturally know that this is something that we do, and in some aspects we do this already, but we're doing it in a very much more conscious level. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of intention behind what you're doing, and I like the kind of bridge between the old school and the old acupuncture and ancient Chinese medicine, with this sort of new idea that Louise Hay brought about, which is the positive affirmations and psychology. And sort of, that's the whole idea, right? Is blending those two old and new worlds together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to tapping, what you need to do first is to start with where you are. And then when you feel calm, that's when you can bring in the affirmations. And Louise Hay is a huge fan of tapping. And, it was really inspiring. We filmed a video with her where my brother actually tapped with her. And here she is. I think she's 83, around there. She's definitely in her 80s. And she still was able to kind of bring up a memory in her childhood that she still wanted some extra help with to clear, and tapped and had this really great breakthrough, and then brought in those positive affirmations. And it was incredibly inspiring to see.
Do you think in everyone's life there's some truth to that we're never going to run out of things to clear and kind of tap? Have you ever hit a wall where you're like, okay, I'm done tapping? You're probably never done, are you?
Well, I think there's two ways to answer that question. I think there's moments when we need to stop trying to, pursue happiness and just be happy, and stop trying to kind of find sometimes when we're in this world, we are constantly looking at things that need fixing. And so I think it's important to find moments where we can just kind of not be searching for those things. And I think it's like there's an ebb and flow. But overall, I think unless you're the Buddha and you become enlightened, I think part of why we're on this earth, my belief, part of the human experience is through challenges, we we discover who we really are. And so through having those moments of insecurity, that is the key to really finding our power. And if it isn't for those moments, then we can't really feel experience the richness of life.
I agree that it tends to be the golden nugget, even at the time it looks like you're, handed an ugly stone,
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to take a little break right now. We're with Jessica Ortner, and when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about maybe how, maybe some examples of, how people could use these, maybe not necessarily examples of tapping. We could do that if she wants.
I have a great question that someone wrote in to ask Jessica, something back to the weight loss, and I'd love to hear like an example of how they would use this.
Oh, good.
That's cool. Great.
We have a couple good questions here from our listeners. Awesome. This is episode 284. We're with Jessica Ortner, and we'll be right back right after this break. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress, and stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. If you have any digestive problems whatsoever, I highly recommend getting a Squatty potty that sits right underneath your toilet. Squatty potties help give relief from constipation and bloating, hemorrhoids and straining, IBS, pelvic floor, and bladder issues. See, as humans, we are designed to squat when we eliminate, and when we sit on a toilet, that angle kinks and pinches off the puborectalis muscle in your colon, and the Squatty potty opens the colon to eliminate more quickly and completely. Listen to what Daniel Vitalis has to say about that.
One of the reasons I love to promote the idea of the squat toilet is because, for a couple of reasons. One, there's a ligament that wraps around your colon that prevents you, when you're in the seated position, from being able to have an effective bowel movement. But that ligament's loosed when we're in a full squat. So people are fighting their own body to defecate this way. Now, in the rest of the world, people defecate in the squat. Use a squat toilet. I'm so big on this. I've got a video on my website about that. But I really believe that it's important we start to actually defecate in an anatomically correct position. So, nobody sits on chairs to defecate except people in the West. And we have more rectal and bowel problems than anybody, more constipation than anybody. But this actually puts our body in a disadvantageous position for trying to go to the bathroom. So if you don't have a squat toilet or don't want to invest in one, I don't know, stack some books up. But get something where you can actually squat up above the toilet, or at least get your knees up higher.
Justin and I love our Squatty Potty. Start improving your digestion and elimination today by going to extremehealthradio.com/squat or see it in our store. Again, go to extremehealthradio.com/squat and watch the video to learn more.
All Free shows all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
And we broadcast 4 days a week live, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time with all kinds of really, really great people like Jessica Ortner and cutting-edge guests. So if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of those shows and also with our past and previous archive shows, if you sign up to our newsletter, you'll get a weekly recap on Sunday, I think it is, that goes out of our previous week's shows. So we encourage you guys to do that if you're interested in doing that. This is episode 284. We're with Jessica Ortner, having a good time. And I just want to let you guys know also about the Squatty Potty and the Qigong, two amazing products. I'm just honored to be able to promote and be connected with companies that I believe in, that we use their products, and the Squatty Potty is just incredible. We love it.
Such a funny thing to talk about and promote, but wow, it makes a big difference.
Oh my gosh,
we love it.
Should have one of these things.
I know.
The Squatty Potty. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out on our store. That is actually broken right now, so we need to fix that before we leave.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you knew that, but we have to fix that. So
good to know.
That's available on our store. And Jessica, we had a couple listener questions here, but I wanted to ask you really quickly, when is the next tapping summit going to happen? Do you know?
Yes, it happens in every February. I don't have the exact dates yet, but if you go to thetappingsolution.com and sign up for the newsletter, we'll be updating everyone. And we also have a really great tapping meditation CD that you can download the entire CD for free on the website.
Oh, no way. So people just enter their name and email and then they can get that for free?
Yeah, it's tapping for stress relief, and it's an amazing morning and evening tapping meditation. So if you're interested in tapping, you learn how to do the tapping on the CD, and then you're guided through it.
That's so helpful. That's brilliant.
So cool. We have a listener question here from Stella, who's a regular listener. She says, hey, Justin, I have a question for Jessica. She says, can we please, lots of E's in there, ask her about a question on fear. I have a fear of gaining weight. Like sometimes when I eat or when I have a meal, I get scared I might gain weight. Any thoughts on how to release this fear so I'm not controlled by it? And there's a part 2 to that as well, but that's the first part there.
Yeah, this is where tapping would be ideal. And so when you start tapping, it's really about staying with where you are in that moment. So if in that moment you have that fear, you can start by asking yourself, okay, where do I feel this fear in my body? And maybe what comes up is, I feel this fear in my stomach. And then you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how extreme is this fear in this moment? And it might be, an 8 or a 9. And then what you do is you begin to tap on the karate chop point. And again, if you go to thetappingsolution.com, I'll teach you exactly how to tap. But you tap, when you begin tapping, the way that you start, which is called the setup statement, is you say how you feel, and then you say, I accept how I feel. Which I know for many people that, it can sound a little bit weird and out there, but so often we get upset, and then we get upset at ourselves for being upset. And we need to layer these emotions. So the moment you can say, this is how I feel, this is where I am, and have some form of acceptance around that, that's when it sets us up for the rest of the process, and it's easy for our whole body to relax. So what you do is tap on the side of the hand and say, even though I have this fear of gaining weight, I accept myself and how I feel. And you say that 3 times, and then begin tapping on the points while focusing on the sensation that you have in your body as you tap through the points. Another thing that you can ask yourself is, when in the past did I lose weight? Oh, did I gain weight, and what did that mean? A lot of times there's a lot of shame around weight gain. And if we've had a moment in the past where we gained weight and something bad happened, then we're always living in fear that can happen again. And so it can be very helpful to look at that moment and to begin to tap on that memory, because a lot of times those memories still elicit that same amount of fear in the moment. And so getting clear on the memory of the reason why we fear gaining weight. For me at this point, if I gain weight, it's like, whatever, I gain some weight and I can lose some weight. There's not that same charge around it. But when we have a lot of painful experiences around our weight and around our relationship with our body, it's a painful experience. So it's important to address that pain with the tapping so that we can find more inner peace within our body. And, our body is, as we age, going to change.
Yes.
So if we're always fearing change because of a past event, then we're really depriving ourselves from enjoying our life.
And it's also important as well to not have a really damaging relationship towards food, right? Because she talks about how she's scared if she eats a meal, she's going to get, fat or gain weight. But having, or perhaps using tapping to change your thoughts about what food really is and your relationship with it would
in the first place.
Yeah, that'd be a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the book would really help too.
She also says, she just goes on to ask if you have any suggestions on emotional eating. I know we all do that, but she goes on to say whenever she's emotional, she doesn't junk out like on junk food, but like good things like raisins or cashews, but she's upset and she wonders the process to stop eating anything just when you're emotional, and what's a better way to deal with the stress that sometimes people can put on you.
Well, that's really where having a tapping practice can be so helpful.
Because it helps with everything.
Spending a few minutes in the morning to tap so you feel more centered throughout the day. But, what I'm hearing from her, which I see a lot, is that we get really passionate about health, but it comes from a place of pain and a place of fear. This idea of I have to eat perfectly and I have to look perfectly, and it's our way to try to control life, because there might have been and I'm not saying this is the case with her, it's just a pattern I've seen with many people. If there's something painful that has happened in the past that we haven't dealt with, we try to prevent that from happening again by trying to control life. And so we do that by trying to be very strict with what we eat, with how we exercise, with trying to do everything perfect. And, perfectionism is really one of the things that holds us back from joy and holds us back from trying new things, because we're always scared it's never going to be enough.
Isn't it weird? It's like this balance that you have, because, I feel like I've got a lot of goals and I have a lot of things I want to accomplish. And so you listen to people like Tony Robbins or people like that, really, really cool, motivating, high energy people. But then you also want to let go too. You want to just be okay with not getting everything done on your to-do list, or perhaps eating that extra, whatever it is, bite of food on your table. And so there's this weird balance between having goals and being, kind of wanting to accomplish your goals, but then also letting go and being okay with things, right?
Exactly. I'm very happy that you're saying that. Absolutely. I have a lot of goals. And, I definitely try to eat right, and I'm, definitely always trying to be the best that I can be. And with that, I've had to have a lot of, letting go of not trying to control the way my life should be, and even control my body through food, but instead just love my body. And when I was able to do that, I was able to get the results that I wanted. And you're right, it really is a balance, and we just have to make sure that we're not so obsessed with goals that we're not seeing what's really going on, which is a very critical voice, a very judgmental voice that tells us we can't be happy or we're not good enough unless this, and this happens.
Do you tap yourself on a daily basis?
I do, yes. Not when I'm on vacation. I just came back from South America and I haven't. I wasn't tapping. But I do, in my everyday life, absolutely. I will tap in the evening. I'll think about something that I want, and I'll, envision myself accomplishing something, or, doing something maybe that I even have the next day. And I'll notice whether there is any tension when I think about succeeding, because I think we fear success just as much as we feel failure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, you think so, huh?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think it almost is more common. We fear that if we are successful and we're seen, then maybe we're a target or somebody. I remember even when I got this book deal, I had all this amazing stuff coming up. I had like this book deal and this TV opportunity, and someone came up to me and was like, oh my God, you're blowing up. Everything's so great. It's amazing to see you. And I said, this was like a year ago, and I said, yeah, but I'm still single.
Totally, right?
Right.
Huh.
And I was like, what am I doing? I was like, why did I say that? Because that, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, being single isn't a disease. I mean, I'm fine.
Right.
But like, why did I say that? And I took a step back and I realized it's because we connect with other people a lot of times through our pain. And think that it's not safe for us to shine. And so with the tapping, we can begin to let go of that anxiety so we can feel really deserving and congruent with the great things that are happening to us and encourage other people to feel the same.
Some people are probably afraid to even get into the tapping because they're afraid of what it can do and change their lives. People probably steer away from it sometimes because of fear, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think that this can be a really gentle process as well. And that's what I try to convey in the book, that it's not about jumping in and figuring everything out all at once, but trusting life and trusting how things unfold and having the tools and the awareness to be able to follow that as it unfolds.
Wow. And so people can use tapping obviously for their stress reduction and things like that in relation to weight loss and things like that, but they can also use it to achieve their goals and for many different reasons they could use tapping, couldn't they?
Absolutely, yes.
That's fascinating.
Wow. Well, your book, I cannot wait to finish it. And I just think it is just a work of art. And I'm so grateful that you've shared your knowledge with the world. We really appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any new projects coming down the pike for you? I'm sure you're busy.
What are you not doing?
I know, right?
A lot of exciting things. My next big thing is that I'm going to be doing a lot more tapping meditations that we're going to be giving out for free at thetappingsolution.com. So I'm excited to do more of those meditations and just get more people tapping. Doing my World Summit, the Hay House World Summit. But, the biggest thing is right now is I'm really just enjoying my summer, which is amazing.
Good for you.
Yeah, we get so caught up in everything that we're doing, don't we, that sometimes we forget just to enjoy ourselves, just to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm having a lot of fun.
And so with the tapping, you can't do it wrong, can you? Like if someone were to want to do it perhaps in the shower before bed and they don't even say anything, perhaps they just think all the thoughts, if they go through all the meridian points, could that work as well?
Got it. I'm so happy you brought that up, because I think a lot of people they don't do it because they're not sure if they're doing it right. And it's not about doing it right, it's just about giving it a try. And you also don't need to believe that it works in order for it to work, which is also really great.
I was going to ask you, yeah. So you don't even have to believe that it works well.
No, you don't have to believe it works.
Awesome.
Isn't that wild? So I bet you get a lot of skeptics that get some success too.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite. When someone's skeptical, I'm like, great, be skeptical. That's totally fine. Let's just start doing some tapping. What a crazy kind of strange career path for you. I'm sure that people, when you first started getting into this and started realizing after you made the documentary how big it was getting, I'm sure a lot of friends and family were thinking, Jessica, what are you doing? What is this? In the beginning, it was a lot like that. People thought I was a bit crazy. And when I would have to explain to people what I did, it was, I got a lot of weird looks. But now, even if it's a stranger who says, what do you do? And I explain it, I'm always amazed that there's someone saying, oh, my aunt does tapping, or, I saw that on TV, or I was reading about that. And so it's really just starting to hit the mainstream, which is very exciting.
That's so cool. And so in your book, you talk about specific ways people can use tapping for weight loss and for getting in control of their emotions and cortisol levels and reducing stress and things.
Yes, exactly.
That is so cool.
While building your confidence.
Yeah, while building your confidence. I suspect that a lot of people are, have a skewed, especially women, have a skewed understanding of weight. That we're conditioned in our culture to believe that this rail thin idea is something that is healthy, but I suspect it's not that healthy.
No, and that's one of the things that I do address in the book. And the book is actually for women. It's, the subtitle is a Woman's Guide to Stressing Less, Weighing Less, and Loving More. And absolutely, I think that we live in a very unique time, like I said, with social media, with the media itself, and there is a lot of pressure on women. And, it's about being, we have these two extremes. On one extreme, the obesity rate is higher than it's ever been before in history. On the other extreme, there is a pressure to be rail thin that there's never been before. And so it just seems like we're all dissatisfied with our bodies when it comes to just these two extremes. And so it's about finding that balance of like, yes, you can lose weight and be healthier. And you can do that while you begin to really enjoy your body and appreciate your body, and not live a life where you say, I will be happy when I lose these last 10 pounds, or when, I get over this illness, or whatever it is. When we realize that we have the power to feel good now, that's when life opens up in a way that's better than we could have imagined.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Just awesome stuff. Thank you so much for being on today and taking time out of your day. And I'm so glad it worked out, even with our schedules. And I'm just so glad.
Yes, me too. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
I really have a fun time, so that means a lot.
It shows through.
Well, we don't know your brother Nick, but tell him we said hi. We feel like we know him, so tell him we said hi. And thanks for being on today.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
Thanks. You too, Jessica.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have another show with Jessica Ortner. That was awesome.
The lovely and beautiful Jessica Ortner.
Yeah.
She shines bright. I really, really enjoy everything I've ever heard that she has put out into the world, whether it's a video, producing a movie, or being the interviewer on the Hay House World Summits the last 2 years. I thoroughly enjoy her work.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in the Hay House World Summit, we'll put a link on this page, episode 284. For that, but was she actually in? Because we watched the Tapping Solution. Yes. Was she in that movie? She wasn't in it, right? She produced it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Isn't
that crazy?
Yeah, that movie tugged at my heartstrings. There was a couple times where I was like crying.
Yeah, these people.
You connect with their emotional stories and where they've come from. I mean, it's pretty.
That one guy whose fiance, or was it his wife?
His girlfriend.
So he was driving down the road
over a bridge,
in the New York Bridge, and just all he did was change lanes.
Yeah, and a truck smashed into them, and she was killed.
His wife, right?
I think it was his girlfriend.
Oh,
either way, horrible.
Yeah, and so he was dealing with that, and he made tremendous progress with everyone. I think there was about 8 or 10 people that were a part of that.
Yeah. And this, man who had been through war. I mean, I get chills talking about it, but
oh, that's right.
Not only had he been to war and seen just horrific things that no one should ever have to see, then he gets, it's like the tapping started with dealing with his post-traumatic stress stuff and ends up with him. I mean, all these people started kind of at a base level of what they thought they were there for.
Right.
And by the end, it's like you see this grown man crying about how his dad, used to take out his anger on them with like a leather strip or
a leather belt.
And it's stuff like that's where I get the chills, and I would just begin crying, because we all have things, maybe some to a lesser degree of trauma, but all just as equally important in our story of where we've come from and how we need to heal in order to really address, like Jessica was saying, address the bigger issues. There's so many layers to this that if you just start somewhere, pretty soon your tapping and your affirmations and your belief will become, I think, that much stronger, in that you can not only heal the thing that you set out to heal, but you'll be healed underneath to be able to
deal with that,
heal all the issues in your life, whether it's weight loss or whether it's emotional trauma from your childhood.
Yeah, it's funny. I go in waves with tapping. Like, I think she said she didn't do it at all during her trip down to South America. I go in waves in tapping, and sometimes I do it in the shower without saying anything. But I want to start doing it again. I really thoroughly enjoyed doing it, and I feel like there's some tremendous benefit too from it. Fascinating story about how her nose completely decongested.
Yeah, I had never heard that before. That was a pretty wild story, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a strange thing when you build a whole career out of something like this. It seems so foreign and so strange.
I remember the first time you mentioned to me, have you heard of tapping? I said no. And you go, there's this whole summit built around it. I go, what the heck is tapping?
I know, right? Yeah.
You know, but our friend Cherie Baum, we had her on the show. I'm not sure what episode, but from thathippiemom.com. She's been tapping now for a while, and she teaches her kids are, ever since they've been young, and they're still pretty young, she's been teaching them how to tap. And
really?
Yeah, it's like these kids have an arsenal of tools, you know, like at their disposal at a really young age. So, you know, not only are they applying essential oils for natural healing and muscle testing things sometimes before they, you know, add them into their daily life, but she encourages them to tap. And so it's like,
what does her husband think? Does he do it?
I think he goes, I don't think he has a problem with it. I don't know if he actually does it, but he knows that she's more into this kind of alternative lifestyle, and that didn't, you know what I mean? Alternative, healthy, whatever. But, I would have to think that if, you know, the kind of work Jessica's putting out there, and her brother Nick, and just making the world more exposed to it. I think at younger ages, if we can get the generations younger, realizing that there are all these tools out there to use, I think that life's going to be a little bit less harsh to them if they implement them as they go through these things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do for free that cost nothing that you could just learn how to do. Like,
that's the thing. It's like
muscle testing.
You have fingers. If everybody, you know, people who have hands and fingers, it's free.
Yeah.
And it's easy, and you don't have to be in you don't have to be in a quiet room. You don't have to be you could be in an airport. You could be, I mean, it travels well.
Could you imagine? I heard Nick on one of the latest Hay House Summits thing. He was talking about how he caught someone doing it in an airport.
No way.
Or maybe it was on a plane or in the airport or something. And it would be just so crazy to see that if you were him. You'd have to go up and talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you'd have to go up and say, hey, where'd you learn this? Or, you know.
Oh, that would have been. Did he go?
I don't know. He just said that he caught someone doing it. And so I'm not sure if he did or not, but fascinating though.
I can bet you that was about tapping before a flight, because people, the stress associated with flying for a lot of people. I mean,
it's weird too, because with the stress and the eating, I mean, people can eat the right food.
Yeah.
And because of their stress about it, they can still put on weight.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is so strange.
Yeah.
And so this EFT, I wonder if EFT, when Nick discovered it, I wonder if they were just doing the tapping or if they were doing the emotional. I'm sorry, if they were doing the affirmations and things. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a good question.
Yeah, I wonder. Because I wonder if that's something that he sort of added on to it, kind of combined the Louise Hay. But I know as it is now, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he did that or if it was already like that when he discovered it.
Well, wherever it came from, I love how you kind of brought up the fact that, that does seem to be what's happening. It's a marrying of an old and a new worldview kind of thing on how we view different modalities and things.
And people think it looks strange, but like I said before the break, it's weird because we don't think it's strange that people get massages.
Right.
Or acupuncture or things like that.
I think it's like anything else, though. If you give it enough time and people are open enough, everything over time starts seeming more normal. I mean, the first time you saw a person with a cell phone, we're all like, that's crazy looking. That doesn't seem normal to be in a car talking on a phone.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you don't think twice about it. It's just that we're not used to things when we see them for the first time,
Yeah, I agree. Wow, that was a good show.
Great show.
Thank
you, Jessica Ortner.
Yeah, the tapping solution. If you guys want to go through our link, it takes you to the same place, but that would help benefit us. If you guys are interested in that, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/tapping, and that will just redirect you over to her website, and you can check everything out. I think the free meditation CDs as well, the tapping solution, and you get the access to those CDs, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, talk about a blessing. I'm gonna look into those after we get back from vacay.
That's right. We got a little vacation ahead of us.
Let's do it.
So I want to thank all you guys for joining us on today's show. This is episode 284, and normally we broadcast 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. You can join the chat room and talk to the other members of the community there. And we also have a forum, too, if you guys would like to join that. It's free to join with all the other Extreme Health Radio listeners. And if you guys could do us a favor, we'd really appreciate this. We are learning more and more that it's really apparently important, according to Apple. Apple tells us these things.
And we believe it.
Steve Jobs.
That's our problem.
But apparently it's really important to get reviews on iTunes and ratings and things like that. So if you are able to do that, if you can, after this show is ended, and head over there to iTunes and leave Extreme Health Radio a review and a rating. That would be really helpful.
We're really grateful for everyone who has so far, too.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Thank you, guys.
And your support means the world to us. And like the lady said during the show, all of our shows are free. So if you guys would like to support us in any way, either by donation or by going through our Amazon link or going to our store, which I have to fix, by the way. It's broken. I don't know why. But
I know why. Because we're getting ready to go on a trip. This is what always happens.
I know. We get so like resistance, right?
Yep, that's okay. I'm okay with it.
But yeah, if you guys would like to support us through Amazon or through a donation or our store and things like that, we would just be so honored and appreciated and humbled by that. So that allows us to keep doing our work, keep interviewing people like Jessica Ortner and bringing these people on for free so that you could pass it to your friends and they don't have to sign up and pay for that. So that's the whole idea. So feel free to pass the show on to your friends if you think it's a good show, and we would appreciate that too.
Thanks, guys. It was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you. All right, we're going to go, and we'll catch you
on the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program